Uh, oh, okay dah. Ada juga 20 minit. Alright. So externalities. What is an externality?
Indirect cost.
Okay, what is it?
Indirect cost.
Indirect cost. Not indirect cost actually. What is externality? Now, idea of externality is this: whatever you do have effect on somebody else. Okay, that is a very, very everyday, general, everyday idea. Or whatever your friend do, whatever, doesn't matter what, that has effect on you. That is externality. All right. So anything, it can be anything that someone does that affect another person. Okay, another person, or that affect other persons, can be more than one. Okay, affect others or another person. What you do affect your friend. What your friend does affect you. Okay. Now, when I say effect, it can be good effect. Okay, you're happy. That means good effect. That means positive. If you are not happy, you are angry or you're upset, that is a bad effect. It's negative externality. So negative externality, positive externality. Now, what is from your everyday life, everyday experience, what your friend does or anybody does, or even someone that you don't know, but interaction with us, in the community, that people do, that you don't feel comfortable, you feel bad, you are angry or you're upset. Right. Give me one. Cepat. Kita tak ramai ni, 5-6 orang aja. So
People,
okay, apa dia?
Those who smoke.
One good example, smoking of cigarette. Okay, cigarette smoke. Smoking cigarette. Now, smoking cigarette, as you know, you enjoy lah, siapa yang smoke. But if you don't smoke, you get the smoke. All right. Now, by inhaling the smoke from the cigarette, we give you what? We give you bad health effect. You can you have a cough, or you can have asthma, things like that. So that's why nowadays, the government has made a law, cannot smoke in public place. You have to smoke, you have to go outside near the jungle, or near the river, or near up, you banyak pokok, isi pokok situ dengan monyet. So that is due to what? That is negative activity. So that's a good example, smoking. Of course, there are many other things. All right, or anything positive that someone do, you feel happy. Tak ada. Kalau tak ada means
take vaccines lah.
Vaksin. Vaksin. Juga tu, boleh lah tu. Okay, vaksin. If your friend has, suppose your friend has taken, you are staying in the hostel, okay, dorm. Now, we are already allowed to return to campus. Your friend has already get the third dose, 3 doses of vaccine. So nowadays, you have COVID. So you're happy to talk to him or her. You're happy that you can, with your roommate, because they have 3 vaccines. So that is good. Okay, vaccine. Third dose, vaccine. Okay, lagi apa lagi? Ada lagi ya? That's a good example. Because very realistic zaman ni, zaman COVID. Saya nak fikir benda tu. Okay, so this can be my good example. COVID. Okay, now you have a COVID-19 time. People with vaccine. You feel happy to be with them, with him or with her. Okay. Okay. Apa lagi? Anything? Or it can be like what? It can be like your friend. Let's say your friend in your dorm. You know, she or he put flowers near the bed, near her or his bed, and then spray not perfume, air freshener. The bed is nicely made. So when you look at his or her bed, you feel like you feel happy, you know. So that is a positive externality. By making your bed tidy and your living area nice, that create a positive externality to your neighbor. Okay, just like the house lah. If you're living with a neighbor, your house has flowers, trees. You know, the grass are very nice planted. Everything is clean and clear, green. So your neighbor will be very happy. Now, if your neighbor, on the other hand, pokok durian pun dia tanam, you know, rumput tinggi macam lalang, apa nama, tikus, tikus apa tikus? Rat. You know, there are rats available running in the area. So that is a negative externality. Okay, you feel bad. Okay, so that is example. What is externality? I look at externality. Alright, yeah. Okay, externalities, cost or benefit. Okay, this is more to the economics. So we come to this afterwards. All right. Example. Okay, I have an example here. A loud music from your neighbor. You know, loud music or the music that he play or she play, you don't like, and it's loud. It disturbs you studying. But if he or she ngaji, you know, reading the Quran, nice, very good tajweed. So you feel happy, you know, you feel peace. That's a positive activity. Also, you have pollution from cars and things like that. So that is externality. All right. Okay. So generally, okay, we are talking only about general. So there will be a role of the government to reduce the externality. All right, to reduce externality. So the role of the government, if you look at pollution, okay, pollution from factories, pollution from cars, motorcycles, there will be a role of government. But if you are looking at loud music from your friend, then not necessarily the government. It can be what? It can be person of authority. So at our level, the university, okay, the university will make rule. You cannot play loud music, or you cannot play music after 9 p.m. Things like that. All right. So there will be some intervention in the market. Okay. So I have talked about what? About two already. Monopoly, externalities, and third one is public good. All right, public good. Now, what is public good? I don't want you to define public good. Give me one example of a public good. Kalau example selanjutnya, you don't have to define. We're not going to define. We define later. Okay, public good. What is a public good? You can give me example, or you can describe public good.
Jogging park.
Huh?
Jogging park.
Park. You're just okay. Jogging park or not parking. I'm sorry. Okay, or you know, park. You know, apa kita in Malaysia we call it like the you know titi bangsa. What do you call it? We don't call it park. We call it taman. You know, taman in English. Garden, park or garden, you know. So in Malaysia, we call it garden. You have the garden near the Parliament House, you know, very nice. And you have another garden near the Lake Titiwangsa, you know, also very nice. So you have a park, you have a garden. Now that's a example of public good. And if you compare that to ice cream, okay, ice cream. Let's say you have an ice cream. Your ice cream. You buy ice cream, all right? What is the difference? Your ice cream. What is the difference between the ice cream that you buy and the park or the garden? One is a private good, okay? The other is what? Public good. So what is the difference between a private good and public good? So this is your private good here, okay? And that is a public good. So what is the difference?
Price.
One is price, okay? Private good, you have to pay for the ice cream. You have to pay the ice cream, that's yours, you consume, okay? What about the garden, the park?
Free.
Free, okay? So one is the price. Private good, you pay the price. For the public good, there is no price, okay? There is no market for public good. That means you don't have to pay price. So most of the time, it's free, okay? So that is a very basic concept, idea of private good, public good. Now, private good, if you buy your ice cream, you consume, okay? You consume. Now, when you consume, there will be what? There will be nothing left for others. You buy your ice cream, you eat it, that's it. All right. Now, for the park or garden, if I consume, now when I consume doesn't mean that I eat the park. Consume means you consume the service from the park. Okay, you go enjoy yourself in the park, you walk, you jog, whatever you want. Now, if I consume the park, can you consume the park?
Yes.
Yes, you can consume the same amount of the park. Okay, so if I consume, you have the same amount to consume. So the quantity is there. But for the ice cream, if I consume, there is nothing for you to consume. All right, so that is the public good. Now, in perfect competition, there is no public good. All right, there is no public good. So that is where the government come. The government will produce public good. Okay, so here, public good, you don't have to read example. Okay, example of public good: national defense, light, you know, radio broadcast, and then those are the goods that the government provide. Okay, public good. Because the market will be very costly. You know, it's very costly for the market to provide. So the government provide. So I also already for this, you know, if I consume the same amount, you can also consume exactly the same amount. So it's difficult for the private to for the market to price it. So you have public good. That is one role of the government to provide or to produce public good. Monopoly, I've talked about it. The other one is economic stabilization. Okay, we talked about it earlier. The government want to ensure that the economy is stable, so that we as citizens, the firm, and the consumers will enjoy certain level of economic life. Okay, certain level of quality of life. So, in order to stabilize the economy, the government has what? Has monetary policy. So monetary policies. You learn in monetary economics. And then there will be some fiscal policy. That one normally in macroeconomic. In here, we learn, maybe we did a little bit. Stabilization of economics. And then, yeah, that's related to foster stable growth, right? Sama tadi. Then there is another one. Another one is what? Is it available here? So economic stabilization, public good. Did I say it here? Tadi. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Redistribution of income. All right. Redistribution of income, I think we mentioned about it last week. Distribution of income meaning subsidy, welfare programs to help the lower income group. All right, to help the lower income group. So the government is also engaging in redistribution of income. So we will look at this aspect. So what we have discussed in chapter number 2 will contribute to what we are going to cover in the course. Okay, so if you look at the book, chapter 2 will just give you overview of market failure and the role of government. And it's a very, very brief chapter, overview, except the appendix, where appendix is talking about efficiency of the market, more detail. They are using that tool, the method they use is the what do we call this method? It's the efficiency in production, efficiency in consumption, and then you have the market efficiency. And they are discussing it in terms of that diagram, the rectangular diagram. Apa dia panggil ya? Saya lupa nama benda. Anybody remember benda tu? That when you discuss about economic efficiency, we talk about, sometimes we use this thing in trade analysis. Box, we call it Edgeworth box. So that appendix is using the Edgeworth box. So yeah, all right, I think it's beyond our level. So they use Edgeworth box. So don't worry about the appendix, okay? So you don't have to read that appendix, but if you have to read, just read the chapter 2 overview. Okay, overview of the role of government in terms of what we were discussing just now. All right. So chapter 2, very, very short. So that is what I have done. We argue that under the basic reason for government is what? Market failure. And of course, economic stabilization and redistribution of income. So that's it. Okay, that is chapter number 2. So like I said earlier, these are the main topics that would be our discussion for the course. We will start with activity, all right? And then we look at public good. Then we look at the redistribution of income. Economic stabilization, maybe not much, right? Monopoly power, maybe not much. But the main thing is public good activity. And then we will look at the financing. Okay, so we will start with these 2 chapters. So as you can see, first topic is chapter number 3, and that is externality. So let's go to chapter number 3, externality. So I will show you some slide. Okay, a slide on externality. Oh, yeah, yeah. Externality. Now, what is an externality? All right. Externality now, we are going to look at more formal concept. We're going to look at from economic perspective. So what we are doing now, okay, externalities that relate to the market, to the production and consumption of production of goods and services. So that is externality that we will be talking about. Of course, we can apply also the model or the way to analyze for the one that we're talking about. For example, what was it? Vaccine. Okay, the vaccine example. The other one was music. Okay, everything can be we can analyze by using the model that we're going to look at now. Now, what is externality? Externality are what? A cost or benefit of market transaction on parties, and that cost or benefit is not reflected in the price. So that is the concept in from economic perspective. So before get the point. All right. Now, market externalities. So here, chapter number 3. Dapat ada definition tu. Tak apa, I'll come back to that one. Externalities. Externalities, there are 2 types. One, negative. Okay, negative is something that you feel bad. You are angry. You don't feel good. So that's negative. Number 2, positive. You know, you feel good. You like it. You're happy. So positive. Now, what we're going to look at here, perspective will be production. Okay, negative, production, consumption. So we're going to look at more on the market approach. Here, positive will be also production, consumption. All right. So we're going to look at this approach. Now, this will be our number 1. Okay, we first of all will talk about negative production externality. Okay. Now come back to our definition. What is the idea here? The concept is what? The cost or benefit. Cost means negative externality. Okay, benefit means positive externality. So if it is negative, that means we incur cost. If it is positive, you get what? You get benefit. You get benefit. So cost, incur cost on us, that is negative externality. Incur, you gain the benefit, that is a positive externality. Okay. Now you have the market here. You have market. Give me a market of one good. Okay. Macam ni. Macam mana? I think I'm going to look at the general first. Okay, general. And then I will look at the negative production. Now you look at the market. All right, market of a good. Okay, now give me one good. Give me one good that is produced in the market. Apa-apa. Okay, give me one good.
Pencil.
Huh?
Pencil.
Apa?
Pencil.
Pensil tak payahlah. Pensil saya dah bagi. Give me another one. Tak payahlah cakap apa yang saya dah cakap. Kalau tidak, saya tak payah tanya.
Phone.
Phone. Phone. Okay, I want something like this. Something a good. Okay, a good that you see produce, and that give us some pollution. See that something that is produced, and we know there is a pollution accompanied the production of that good.
Paper.
Market of paper. Okay, if you produce paper, okay, you produce it in the factory. When you produce paper, what is the waste? The waste that is produced by the paper factory. Okay, another example. Paper. Another one. Any other?
Fertilizer.
Huh?
Fertilizer.
Fertilizer. Okay. Fertilizer. Something that you can see, For example, paper factory, probably the paper factory is located near a river. Okay, so that's a river, that is paper factory. So they produce paper. At the same time, they put, or they just produce the waste, and that waste will just go into the river. Same as fertilizer. You have fertilizer factory. Again, probably it's located near a river. All right. What they produce, of course, fertilizer, which is a good. But at the same time, they produce a bad, which is the emission. Not emission, the pollution. Okay, the waste. So the waste will go to the river. Now, that is an example of a negative externality. Now, what happened to the waste? Waste. Who suffer from the waste? Okay, can you hold a minute, 1 minute?
Yes.
What do you mean? Okay. So who will get the effect of the waste that come from the paper factory?
People who live near the factory.
What? The people who live near the factory, yeah. Okay, so you have the river here. River is going south, going to the sea. So there will be the people living near the river. Okay. Now, if these people are the kampong, kampong or kampong, probably they rely on what? They are fishermen. They rely on fish in the river. Okay. So when there is a waste from the paper factory going into the river, what happened to the waste? What happened to the fish production? They'll be lower, okay? Because of the effect of the chemical. So you have less fish. So you have less fish. And the effect is on the fishermen. The fishermen will suffer in terms of less fish. At the same time, there will also pollution to the water. All right, pollution to the water. water pollution. So probably the water previously can be drink, but now you cannot drink. If you drink, you get some disease, you know, and the fish can be contaminated. So you have contamination. So these are the negative effect of the production of the good. And this is what you call third party. So if you look at the definition, the cost or benefit, what we were talking about, the example was cost, okay, because we're looking at negative production externality, cost on third party. Now, who is the third party? The third party is the one that is not involved in the transaction. Let's say you have the paper here, okay, paper market. You have the firms, right? And then you have the buyers or the consumers. Okay, you have the consumers. So here, sellers, buyers. They exchange in the market. All right. They pay the equilibrium price, equilibrium quantity. They exchange. Okay. Now, third party, they are the people who is not involved. Okay, not involved in the transaction. Okay, they're involved in the transaction. So that is what you call third party. Sometimes third parties because there are more than one parties. Okay, like you have PAS, UMNO, DAP, every party is affected. But what we're talking about here, not political parties. Okay, it can be any group of people. So you have the third parties that are affected by the pollution. Okay, so that is what we mean by third party. So go back to the definition. So you have transaction, cost of the transaction on third parties. And that cost is not reflected in the prices. Now, this price that you pay for the paper only cover what? Only cover production costs. Okay, production costs. What are production costs? Variable cost, fixed cost, the one that you learn in principle. It does not cover, okay, does not cover cost to the third party. So that's the essence of externality. Okay, the cost or benefit to third party due to a market transaction, and that cost is not reflected in the price of the good. Okay, so that is more formal of externality. We are looking at it. We're looking at it from the economic perspective. All right. Okay. Okay. Any question? Anything? Okay. All right. So negative, positive, and then you have consumption, production. So what we were looking at just now, the example is negative production. All right. So you have negative production, you have negative consumption, and then you have also positive. Okay, positive, negative. So let's start with the negative production externality. So go back to the categories that I just mentioned. You have negative, positive, production, consumption, production, consumption. So with the production negative. Okay? Later on we will move on to other aspects. All right. So I show you the negative production externality. So negative production externalities is when a producer production of a good and services incur costs to others as third party. that is not compensated by the firm, not reflected by the price. So when you here we are talking about the negative externality that accompanied production of a good. Okay, production of a good, and the firms, when they determine the price, they don't take into account that cost to the third party. So this is production negative production externality. So don't worry about the negative consumption. We come to that later on. All right. All right. Now, how do we analyze this? So we are going to look at it from this perspective. So the effect is what? The effect is on the third party and the person or the party who contribute to the externality are the firms. All right. So when you are talking about negative or negative production externalities, negative production externalities. Okay. Production meaning what? Meaning firms. They are producing, they are the producers. So that means what? That means the supply function. And the supply function is the marginal cost. So as you know, we go back to perfect competition. We start from the perfect competition because the perfect competition is the one that we know. Okay, in perfect competition, what do you know by the supply? The supply of the supply function is what? Supply function S is the marginal cost. Okay, so as you can see earlier, I show you the perfect competitive market. Supply function is the marginal cost. Of course, you look at the demand, you get the demand equal the marginal revenue. So equilibrium will be determined by demand equal supply. Okay, that one you know, or in other words, R equal to MC. Now, with externality, so now you take into account externality. So here, negative production externality lah. So make sure you're talking about this, all right? Negative production externality. That negative production externalities. So the effect would be what? The effect will be on the supply function because the firms are producing. So the effect is on the supply function. With negative externality, negative production externality, there will be negative. There will be negative. Tak cakap dah negative. There will be what? There will be cost. Okay, cost incurred by third parties. We call this external cost. Okay, external cost. Short form EC. So that is external cost. Now, if you look at the firm, you have the variable cost, fixed cost, all these are measurable. You know, it's measurable because it's production cost. Some of the external costs may not necessarily be measurable. You know, it's not easy. Some of them, it's not easy to monetize. Okay, it's not easy to monetize. We have to what? We just have to estimate. But some of the costs are, of course, you know, you can monetize lah. Okay, and some of the costs, it may be economic costs, and some costs may not be economic. It's what? It's indirect. Okay, indirect costs, and it can be what do you call it? Psychological costs. You know, psychological costs. What kind of costs? Are there costs on our psychology? You know, so some of these costs may not be as easy to measure. Okay, all right. Now go back to the example. Suppose you have the paper factory. The people that are affected are the people who live downstream that rely on the river. So what is the external cost? I mean, not external cost. Give me one example of an external cost that will be incurred by the residents. Apa dia?
Reduce, reduce in income.
Reduce in income. You know, let's say before the paper factory, you can get 1 ton fish per month. After the factory, you get only half ton. So reduction income, half ton of income, you know, half ton of income, half ton from the fish. So, mana dia tadi? So the cost, external cost, one example is reduction in income. Apa itu dia? Reduction in income. Okay, income reduction. That's measurable. Okay, what else? Apa lagi? What are the things, you know, that come from the river that give you negative effect due to the paper factory?
Use fish supply for food.
I think that fish supply, food supply, food. Okay, food. Yeah, that can, income is the one that you sell. All right, but some of the fish that become your food, so you can say food reduction. All right, food reduction. So that can be measured. Okay, any other things? Suppose
Health issue.
Huh?
Health issue.
Health. Okay, something that relate to your health. Suppose the river water can be drink. You know, before the paper factory, we can drink the river, the river from water from the river. Just like when I was young, you know, when I was small, the river that goes through my village, I can drink. But nowadays, you cannot drink. You know, during the 70s, I can drink the water from the river because it's clean. But now, you know, you have factories upstream. It's quite dangerous to drink the water. So there will be some health effect. So in other words, the water now becomes dirty. All right. If you drink the water, there will be some health effect. So you may have what? You may have some illness. So you have what? Illness. And then in other words, your healthcare cost will be increased. All right. Say before the paper problem, your healthcare bill is only 50 ringgit a month. After the paper factory come in, you pay 150. Okay, something like that. And then there are some psychological costs. Due to the river being polluted, you can become crazy. You know, you become gila babi. Why? Because the water of the river is your enjoyment, you know, your source of income, your source of drink, you know, your source of food. Suddenly it is affected, becomes dirty. You can be, you know, we can be crazy. So there be some psychological cost. And that, of course, not easy to measure. So you can estimate, you know, what is the psychological cost. So these are external costs. So external cost is not necessarily the one that you can measure directly, like income reduction, things like that. But there are some, okay? There are some that are not directly measurable, like psychological cost. So everything will be included in the external cost. And of course, this cost, the firm do not consider when they determine the price of the good. All right? Okay. So you have in the perfect competition, the supply equal to the marginal cost, and that marginal cost is just equal to the marginal private cost. So MPC, meaning marginal private, or sometimes they call it marginal production cost. All right. So marginal cost is just MPC. Okay. All right. Okay, now we look at with externality. With negative externality. Now, with negative externality, we know that here you have what? There is EC. Okay. So the total cost, now we call it total social cost, which is equal to the total cost plus EC. Okay, we take a short break, no, Azan. So I will come back in, we will come back in 10 minutes. So what you do, you check ini, okay? And for the market, perfect competition, I just give you the marginal cost. Okay, so I just give you marginal cost, you look at the cost. All right, what is the total cost here? Okay, you got the total cost, and then you have the total cost for the externality. Okay, check the total cost there, and then I have the total cost plus that. So I will show you here. You get the total cost for the perfect competition. Okay. Okay. Under perfect competition, the total cost, all right, the total cost is just equal to the total personal or private cost or total production cost. You take the derivative, you have the marginal, because when you do the analysis of the supply demand, you look at the marginal. Okay, so marginal, we know what is the marginal. Marginal meaning the change, you have total cost equal to the total private cost. So you take the marginal or the derivative, So the marginals will be what? The marginals, you have marginal cost or marginal total cost equal to the marginal production cost or private cost. So MC is, in a sense, the change in the total cost over change in Q. MPC is the change in the total production cost over change in Q. So that is in terms of marginal. So you do the marginals when you want to do the supply demand analysis. All right. Okay. So similarly, if you have externality, you have the total social cost because you have external cost. So the cost now is the cost to the society. So you call it social cost because it affects the third party. So social cost means cost to society, not just cost to the firm, all right? Cost to other people as well. So you call it total social cost. And that is equal to the total production cost, EC, plus EC. And of course, EC is bigger than 0. Okay, now you take the marginals. So I draw like here. You take the marginals, then what do I have? I have the change in the TSC per unit change in Q equal to change in TC per change in Q plus change in EC over delta Q. Plus the change. And that is the marginal social cost equal to the marginal cost plus marginal external cost. You see, so there is a difference now. First, before that, you have the marginal cost just equal to the marginal production cost. Okay, but now you have the marginal cost, which is equal to the marginal production cost at with marginal external cost. So that is the difference. Now the effect is on that supply function. Okay, so let's look at the diagram. How does it affect the supply function? Okay, are you done? Good. I want you to write. Okay, write this because this is our tool of analysis. Okay, finish. Okay, all right. So we look at the diagram. We draw the diagram, the perfect competitive model. We are using the perfect competitive model. So that is Q, that is P. So this is the paper, the market. Okay. So this is the market of a good or industry. So we can say market of a good or industry. And our example, say paper. Okay, paper. So you can use it for general and specifically we apply it to paper. So you know the marginal cost supply function is that one. All right. So that is our marginal cost. When you introduce externality, you have the MSC. And the MSC, the marginal social cost, is equal to MC plus MEC. And you know the MC is just equal to MPC. Yeah? All right. That is the supply function. Okay. So now, when you have MEC, what happened to the marginal cost? And you know the marginal cost, how it relates to the social cost, the marginal social cost is the relationship that I just mentioned in the last page. So how does it relate to the marginal social cost, the MC? Or, I put another way, how does the MSC relate to the MC? That's relationship. And we start with okay, we start with the MC or MPC. So how do you put the MSC? Where is it? How is it related? Hello? How is it related? Anybody?
Higher than MC.
Will be higher than MC. Okay, will be higher than MC. The MSC will be higher than MEC. Why? Because MSC is MC plus MEC, and that MEC is a positive value. You see, MEC is positive. So therefore, we know that will be higher. Okay, so MSC higher than MC. Now, how do we show it? Okay, this is how you show it. You just show it at any Q. Okay, at any Q, at any quantity, the horizontal axis. Say Q0. Okay, you just put Q0 somewhere here. Say Q0 is there. Okay, that is the 0. So we got Q0. At Q0, that is our value of MC, which is the MPC. All right. Now, you know MSC is equal to what? Is equal to MC or MPC plus MEC. That MEC is bigger than 0. So at Q1, MSC is equal to MC plus MEC. So MEC is bigger than 0. So you have that MEC. And that MEC is positive. So we assume constant. So therefore, that is our MSC. Okay. So here you assume MEC bigger than 0 and constant. But we can also show that if MEC is bigger than 0, but it's not constant, it is increasing. So somewhere the MSC will be above the MC. Okay, but the shape will be different. But for now, we just look at that. All right. So that is the MEC. So the MSC will be what? Will be above the MC. How do you show it? You show it at any Q. The cost will be higher by the MEC. So you just make the adjustment. All right. So you just add MC, and then MEC is positive. So it will be above that. So from there, you get the MSC function. So at any Q, say Q0, you have what? I have MC equal to MC0. So I put here MC0. I didn't put MC0. Or MPC 0. Okay. All right. Now, with MEC, with MEC, then what do I get? Then I get MC plus MEC equal to MSC. So at Q0, I'm sorry, then what do you got? I got MC 0 plus MEC. That will be some point higher than at Q0, some point above MC 0. That is equal to MSC 0. So that value is MSC 0. And MSC is higher than MC. All right. Okay. All right. So by doing that, we show the MSC is bigger than MC. Okay. All right. Any question? All right. Good. So I'll stop here, and I will continue Wednesday. So Wednesday, I will meet you seminar room 3.4. So don't forget,
3.4.
right? 3.4. So as of now, our agreement is Monday online, Wednesday in class. So I will see you in class on Wednesday. Any question, any comment? You can say it now. Any comment, any question? Tada.
No,
Okay.
doctor.
Oh,
Okay, tada, good. So I will see you again on Wednesday. Have a nice time studying.